I want you to imagine scrolling through TikTok at 2 a.m. and finding a masked man staring directly into your soul, promising to make you beautiful. The Looksmaxing community is a hyper-obsessive corner of the internet dedicated to physical perfection. It's a space built on these users' deep insecurities. Enter Hasslerhoff. He uploaded deeply unsettling monologues while wearing a terrifying mask. He would feature mangled dolls that looked a little bit too much like trophies. His videos were visceral, and users became convinced that they weren't watching some ARG or an edgy art project. They believed that they were watching the diary of an active, real-life serial killer operating right before them. Who was this man behind the mask? Was this a psychological experiment or a genuine threat to the internet at large? Today, we're diving into one of the darkest rabbit holes on TikTok, and this is the disturbing truth behind Hasslerhoff. Let's get spooky. Hey, spooky people. It's your best friend, Kenny. Anyone who's found themselves scrolling through TikTok late at night understands the shift that occurs when your algorithm takes a dark turn. The dances, the lip syncs, the little comedic sketches slowly start giving way to something more bizarre and unsettling. And in this space of the internet, one of the most disturbing and captivating recent mysteries happened. This person, known as Hasslerhoff, emerged as a creepy account, causing a full-blown internet panic, terrifying a specific subculture into believing that a genuine serial killer was hunting them. The story of Hasslerhoff is a wild, chaotic descent into the weird corners of internet culture. The story encapsulates how modern digital platforms can take a bizarre performance and amplify it into a new urban legend. The account itself was a nightmare made for TikTok. A masked figure surrounded by grotesque dolls delivering rambling, unsettling monologues targeting this strange Looksmaxing niche community. For a long time, the audience watching these videos debated whether there was a true crime unfolding in real time or whether this was just a piece of performance art. Rumors spread quickly across TikTok, Reddit, and Instagram. The conversation transformed Hasslerhoff into a digital boogeyman. Users analyzed every grainy frame of his videos, treating them like unreleased evidence in a homicide case. And you could feel the fear in these posts. But to understand how an anonymous user in a mask managed to convince thousands of people that a serial killer is on the loose, you need to look at where this performance took place. TikTok has an ability to zero in on user engagement. Whether that engagement is driven by excitement or anger or terror, it doesn't care. That just means that this type of highly disturbing content can find its target audience quickly. Hasslerhoff went viral by going after a highly paranoid community and feeding them their own worst nightmares. Looksmaxing is a fascinating, tragic internet subculture. It's filled with young men who have developed a hyperfixation on maximizing their physical attractiveness. On the surface, the community discusses grooming habits, fitness routines, and skincare. But the rabbit hole goes much deeper. At its extreme end, which is called hard maxing, it involves highly invasive cosmetic surgeries, bone smashing, and desperate attempts to alter jawlines and facial symmetry. What drives this obsessive behavior is a concept called the black pill. It's deeply rooted in incel forums and image boards. And the black pill is a nihilistic worldview. It states that human society is completely based on biology. According to the philosophy, physical attractiveness is the sole currency that matters in life. If an individual is not born with ideal physical traits, they are permanently doomed to a life of romantic rejection, isolation, and mockery. The mindset creates a digital space that has despair and intense self-loathing. Members of the Looksmaxing community often feel alienated from the rest of the world, convinced that they are viewed as monsters by mainstream society. They're in a constant state of hypervigilance, analyzing their own faces and the faces of others with cold, almost clinical detachment. When Hasslerhoff arrived, the account targeted these people. The masked figure began dropping videos filled with the specific jargon of the Looksmaxing and black pill communities. The appearance of a terrifying masked figure speaking their language and appearing to stalk their digital spaces was a nightmare. They were primed for paranoia, and Hasslerhoff was, well, happy to light a match in that powder keg. The Hasslerhoff videos were classic lo-fi internet horror. The account took the mundane and created an atmosphere of dread using cheap masks and strange dolls. And the signature was the mask. And a mask can be a highly effective tool in psychological horror. It strips away the expressions of people, replacing, any emotional cues with a blank void. When a viewer looks at a mask, they project their own worst fears onto that blank canvas. For the Looksmaxing community, the crude mask of Hasslerhoff was a rejection of the very concept of physical beauty. With this masked man were dolls, featured in unsettling ways throughout the videos. The dolls triggered the uncanny valley, the feeling of revulsion that occurs when an object appears almost, but not entirely human. And the way Hasslerhoff used these dolls during the videos added a layer of implied violence that unsettled viewers. The monologues, the ranting given by Hasslerhoff was rambling, nihilistic, and detached from normal social behavior. The voice utilized the specific terms of incel culture, making the threat feel targeted. People began drawing parallels between the Hasslerhoff aesthetic and an older legendary piece of internet horror. Reddit users archiving the bizarre content compared the raw, unedited, claustrophobic feel to the Poughkeepsie tapes, which is a famous found footage horror mockumentary known for its realism. Great movie, by the way. Others saw a similarity to an early internet performance artist, the surreal and chaotic work of Shay St. John. You may recall Shay St. John utilized disfigured mannequins, rapid-fire editing, and bizarre monologues to attack Hollywood vanity. Hasslerhoff felt like a modern, TikTok-optimized successor to that brand of deeply uncomfortable outsider art. With the perfect algorithmic environment in TikTok, a highly vulnerable target audience, and this scary, terrifying aesthetic, the Hasslerhoff myth was set to explode. The transition from a weird TikTok account to widespread panic of an active serial killer shows how digital folklore generates in real time. His videos began to rack up views, and the comment sections devolved into absolute chaos. TikTok encourages users to interact, debunk, and solve mysteries, and thousands of amateur sleuths descended upon the Hasslerhoff account, analyzing reflections in the background, dissecting audio for hidden messages, and trying to tie the masked figure to unsolved crimes in the real world. Keywords like TikTok killer, internet rabbit hole, true crime mystery, and creepy videos began trending heavily as algorithmic rocket fuel that pushed the account onto the feeds of millions of unsuspecting users. And the panic would spill over to other platforms. On Instagram, users created accounts to archive the creepy content, treating the re-uploads as forbidden media. On Reddit, threads debated the authenticity of the account and the threat, with users from the true crime community weighing in on whether the behavior exhibited in the videos matched the psychological profiles of known predators. Being able to cross platforms like this created Hasslerhoff's status as a genuine urban legend. This shows a vulnerability in digital literacy for people nowadays. When horrific content is viewed in short, context-free bursts, the line between a viral stunt and real-world danger feels like it completely dissolves. The collective paranoia of the internet breathed life into this monster. A big question was, well, is Hasslerhoff an alternate reality game, an ARG? The internet has a long, rich history in collaborative fiction projects that blur the line between reality and game. Historically, massive online communities have rallied together to solve intricate digital puzzles. For example, the No Players Online ARG from November 2025 involved a spooky narrative built around an allegedly abandoned multiplayer game. Massive gaming franchises like Cyberpunk 2077, Ultra Kill, and Amnesia Rebirth have used ARGs to engage their fan bases in deep, lore-heavy investigations. These projects train internet sleuths to look for clues, solve puzzles, and work collaboratively to uncover hidden stories. Hasslerhoff hijacked the mechanics of the ARG community and infused it with real-world dread. There were no puzzles to solve, there weren't hidden codes leading to a website, and no winking at the audience to acknowledge that it was all a game. Hasslerhoff presented the gritty analog horror of a potential predator. He leaned heavily into the aesthetics of true crime. The creator wanted to ensure that the usual skepticism that was usually applied to ARGs was overridden by fear. The audience's desire to solve the case transformed what was a personal art project into a massive crowdsourced horror movie. And the debate raged on. Was it a new horror project? Was it the digital confession of a severely disturbed individual? Was it a viral stunt tapping into the public's insatiable appetite for unsolved mysteries? The answer finally arrived, dismantling the myth of the TikTok killer. The turning point in the story happened when a highly respected YouTuber named Pandox dropped a comprehensive expose on Hasslerhoff. Pandox routinely explores heavy subjects ranging from declassified government documents to baffling disappearances. He released a video on Hasslerhoff. Pandox's investigation provided closure to this terrifying rumor. Hasslerhoff was not a serial killer. There were no victims. The TikTok killer was a complete fabrication, born from the paranoia of the Looksmaxing community and magnified by the TikTok algorithm. But you can't simply dismiss the Hassler account just simply as a hoax or a cheap prank, because that misunderstands the project. The reality is more complex. Pandox's investigation revealed that the entire phenomenon was an internet performance piece orchestrated by a real individual who is utilizing the digital landscape as a canvas for avant-garde personal expression. The reason why the performance felt so real was because it was rooted in genuine, severe personal trauma. The creator behind the Hasslerhoff mask was dealing with profound real-world struggles with body image, isolation, and social rejection. He wasn't trying to bully the internet. It was a desperate artistic manifestation of the creator's own psychological anguish. By putting on a featureless mask and utilizing the grotesque dolls, the creator was externalizing their own feelings of feeling like a monster. And the heavy use of incel rhetoric, looksmaxing trends, black pill philosophy, that was the work of someone deeply entrenched in these spaces, taking that pain from that community and reflecting it back in a highly stylized format. The Hasslerhoff persona allowed the creator to speak unfiltered truth about loneliness and despair without exposing their vulnerable true self to the harsh judgment of the internet. And when you look at the story this way, the rambling monologues turn from terrifying threats of a predator to poignant confessions of an isolated individual using analog horror as a coping mechanism. It shows how internet audiences are explicitly drawn to unsettling figures, and how digital identities can be built and exaggerated by the very people watching them. The line between reality and art was blurred so effectively because the emotions fueling the art were authentic. The pain was real. The serial killer narrative was fiction. The story of Hasslerhoff is one of the most fascinating case studies in modern urban legends. It's a story that goes beyond the creepy mask and some weird dolls on a video app. It's a commentary on the state of internet culture, and it shows the deep vulnerabilities that exist in these highly isolated groups that get fed into algorithmic echo chambers. The phenomena highlights the speed at which misinformation can turn into accepted lore. Millions of people who are either driven by the true crime craze or the natural human urge to solve mysteries actively participated in building the Hasslerhoff urban myth. They were unwitting co-authors of a horror story, proving that on the modern internet, a compelling story will always beat the truth. In the end, the unmasking of Hasslerhoff by Pandox is a reminder that humanity often hides behind the most disturbing digital avatars. It challenges the audience to look past the viral spectacle and recognize the loneliness epidemic that drives so much of modern internet behavior. The masks are fake and the threats are fake, but the need to be seen, to be heard, and to express the depth of human isolation is completely real. Please subscribe to this channel, The Spooky Lawyer. Please like and share this video. If you'd like to support the channel, you can become a member of this channel. I would appreciate you considering that. You can also support me by liking, sharing, watching my videos, hyping my videos, and leaving a comment. And I do really appreciate you watching my videos. And please stay spooky.